Cool.
Thanks for being on.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
cool.
Big pleasure. And met through James Whitaker, which is really cool.
Yep.
Like how the circle does that. You're an author, guy that helps CEOs reach their potential with executive coaching and work with a lot of big brands and CEOs. But I guess that's my sum up of you. But for people that don't know you, what's your...
Oh, sure. Well, I run a business called Chief Maker.
Yep.
We have worked for years with CEOs and companies on 5 continents. We now specialise in helping middle managers accelerate their career into C-level roles, and we help companies really tap into the potential in that group and give them the resources they need to be good. When large organisations go through transformation, normally it stalls in the middle.
Yep.
That's where all the operational change, the new technology has to get some traction, and it's really, really hard. So we help organisations give those people the skills in personal excellence and how to run a team so they can actually drive change into the business and keep up, because as you and I know, the speed of change in business is only getting faster, right? So if you're trying to drive the Titanic and all of a sudden you're no longer in sweet, beautiful ocean territory, you're being surrounded by speedboats, it's really hard to keep up and change direction, right?
Yeah. Also when environments change for the negative, it's much more important to have leaders that know what they're doing.
Yeah, and that's exactly true. And the hard thing is most of them, to be honest, in the grand scheme of things, don't know how to respond. They do a lot of guessing. They often look confident, but if you really, I'm in this privileged position as a coach where when you go behind closed doors, they reveal their own, challenges, beliefs, obstacles, and even some of the best are really unsure if they're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And it is very difficult to know at times. There's a lot riding on it. A lot of the future of a company might be riding on it. The lives of the people that work for you, your own career is riding on it.
Yeah. So
it really weighs heavy on people, right? And they're just so goddamn busy.
So I guess is part of the thing you coach people through is how to deal with their own stress and
absolutely. First and foremost, I don't think a leader can have any chance of success unless they are implementing the pursuit of excellence. So unless they can manage their own routine, think clearly, be composed, be confident in the moment, make smart decisions. Yeah. Unless you understand how to do that, how can you then go and lead a team or make change happen? So we start with helping people implement or automate the pursuit of excellence, right? Once they've got themselves in order, right, and they're thinking clearly and operating effectively, then we can say, now you can drive a team. But often we go, you've got to lead a team, but they don't have the personal habits of success, right? So get those habits right, then we can talk about team stuff. So we do both, but you have to start with personal habits. Right?
Well, personal habits are created and perfected by personal development. And the way you introduce your podcast, which is really cool, is you say that people need to combine watching mentors and their own personal development.
That's right.
Can you expand on that?
Sure. Well, when I decided, I was in the corporate world and I was working as a project manager, and life was okay, but it wasn't brilliant. But I was a bit of a self-help junkie, right? And a few things hit home to me in the early days around mastery and how you go through mastery. But one was try and learn directly from the masters if you can. Yeah. I was quite a bit of a fan of Tony Robbins, but I couldn't see myself going to a Tony Robbins day, right? And doing the fist pump. That wasn't
walk
really
on fire and
it wasn't quite my scene, but I thought he knows something. Like the guy absolutely knows something, right? And so I asked myself, well, who taught Tony? Who taught him, right? And so I went to the source behind Tony, and there's a guy called John Grinder who's one of the guys that taught him. He's one of the co-founders of neurolinguistic programming. Yep. And I learned just about everything there is to know about that field from the co-founder. And so what I've discovered over time is the more very successful people you meet, the vast majority of them spend the time and the money and the effort to go and learn directly from the person who worked it all out, right? Because there's lessons to be learnt from them. And sometimes that's not as cheap as you'd like, but not as easy as you'd like, because you've got to go to places, right? Like I went and learned Kung Fu. Where did I go?
You went to the monks, didn't you?
Went to the monks. I lived in China, right? Because I thought they're going to know more than the guy down the road from me, right? Yeah. So the more you can learn directly from the masters, I think the better. It shortcuts your way to the top.
Yeah. Definitely. I guess that's one of the reasons why the Benjamin Graham book, Intelligent Investors, is so popular.
Yeah.
Because he's the guy that taught Warren Buffett.
Taught Warren Buffett. Exactly. Yep. Yeah. Exactly. So, I mean, if you can, if only he was around now, right, to teach you, right?
Yeah.
But his book is exactly that.
Exactly that. Something I see with managers is it'll often, more in a medium-sized business, but it could also happen in larger businesses, someone will be put into a management role because they are good at the task. They're good at they're fantastic employees, so their natural progression will be leadership. Yeah. But then what will happen is they're so good at the task that they can't actually let go of the micromanaging.
Yeah, that's right.
So how would somebody, I guess, get around... Yeah, well, if they're great at the task, now they have to lead people.
Yeah, this is the classic career progression of just about every single person. Yeah. And this is where universities fundamentally get it wrong, right? Well, they get the first part of your career right in some cases. If you're an engineer, you do engineering and you learn engineering.
Yeah.
At no point do you learn anything about leadership or management. That's cool. If you go to management, all you learn about is management, but you don't learn anything about the technical job, which is what you get first.
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody goes through technical roles first as a professional. You can, if you go for level 1, so normally if you're a standard career progression goes about 7 years, 5 to 7 years at level 1 where you're just a professional doing the job.
Yeah.
If you go right, around about 10 to 20% of people then jump to level 2, which is a manager level role.
Yeah.
When you're a manager level role, maybe you're earning about $100,000 a year, you're probably spending 70 to 80% of your time at least still doing technical work.
Yeah.
Right? You're really the number one technical expert. It's okay, you can get away with it.
Yeah.
Okay? It's the level after that where you really get found out. Yeah. Because what happens is every level you go up in an organisation and more teams and people report to you, the less you know about the technical content of that area. Let's say you're an electrical engineer over here.
Yeah.
Now you're leading a team over here which has civil engineers in it or has mechanical engineers. Yeah, anything about that.
No.
How can you possibly lead them anymore? So what's probably never been taught is the process then of running a team. So how to set a vision, how to create values and standards, how to set goals, how to put metrics in place that make sense, how to coach someone over a year. No one's ever taught people that, right?
No.
And one of the real problems is if you go from an L&D budget perspective of an organisation, they generally have quite a bit of money to spend on the top of the tree, a little bit to spend on the rest, but it's sort of spread across everyone. And very little other than technical at the bottom.
Yeah.
So as a result, the people that are going up into these roles don't have a clue what to do.
No.
Right? They just don't.
What do they do if they want to be in?
Well, they've got to learn, don't they? They've got to become a chief maker, mate.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, but we honestly, one of the core reasons I started Chief Maker was because I went, there is a problem here.
Yeah.
Like companies do engagement surveys and they get this response that goes, we don't feel like we're being invested in, we don't know what to do, right? And they say that because it's a confidential document. And they're like, well, how do we invest in people who don't have money to invest in someone in that role? Because there's a limited budget for that, right? Particularly if time's tight.
Yep.
Because there's no decent products out there to do that. So that's why we started Chief Maker, and that's why we're launching things like Chief Maker Academy, as I said to you before, because that's targeted at that level. Someone can do the coaching they want to get the help they can get at that moment, right? Having said all that, if someone really wants to be successful, they will find a way.
Yes.
Right. So, sure, we've got a product that people want help, but there's a million people that went before them that didn't have that help. Right. There's books out there that you can read that teach you how to do this. But the very first thing I would say is as you go from a technical into a leadership role, you have to maintain your technical expertise. I think that's important in the first 2 levels, 2 or 3 levels of management. But you absolutely have to learn how to lead a team. You have to learn how to make change happen. And there's a million books out there. There's great podcasts out there about it.
Yeah.
So if you're not doing that on your own, there's enough out there that you can get like dirt cheap.
Yeah.
Go and do it.
But
if you're stuck and you don't know what to do, then we'll find a way. Like you shouldn't have to necessarily go and get coaching. You should be able to do it for free.
Yeah. But if you want that extra level, I guess it's always good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that is exactly why we started what we did. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. I think a key part of me looking at managers that I've had is they've been effective at getting me to do what I want to do because of the amount of respect that I have for them.
Sure.
And I guess I would have been in a training session and they get around objections of sales.
Sure.
And go, wow, that's an amazing thing.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
But I guess how fundamentally important do you think that respect for a manager?
Oh, I think if you just go for the opposite, if you don't respect your manager, what do you get?
Yeah.
People will undermine they'll actually sacrifice growth. They'll sacrifice performance of the company. They'll sacrifice income just to spite you, right?
To spite, geez.
So respect. People will do all sorts of funny things. It's all the whole field of behavioural economics is amazing, And, it's a very, very powerful thing. Yeah. So you just, without respect, I don't think you should even bother trying, right?
Yeah.
You'll never get anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And something that I'm interested to know about you, because you've worked with a lot of brands, a lot of really high-level coaches. Obviously, you don't need to say a name because of sensitivity, but do you have a case where you've just really enjoyed the development that you did with this individual person? And
heaps of cases like that. I'm just trying to think of a good story.
Impactful,
I'll tell you what. There was a couple of guys that I worked with a mining company. We did a lot of work. I did a lot of work in Africa for about 5 years. We were going back and forth to some big mining companies over there. There's a couple of guys that really stand out over there. Where one in particular, he was really sharp. Like, he was a good guy. He got it. He was general manager level on a really good wicket, but he was not winning the game with his boss. Like, I'll be honest. Like, the COO just didn't give him the kudos he deserved. Wow. COO was very technically minded, had a certain agenda, and he just wasn't speaking the right language.
Yep.
Right. What we were able to do is we set the frame that his boss is his number one customer. There's a core premise of everything we teach. Your boss is number one customer. If they don't rate you, then you're never going to go anywhere. You're just going to have a horrible existence at work. It's not going to be fun.
Yeah.
Right. If you can't have that customer relationship with your boss, get out, go somewhere else, because you never win, right? It's always going to be a battle.
That's very interesting. The two bosses that I've had, I do also consider them as friends, especially when you leave the place. So it's interesting.
And it should be at that level, right? You should have that level of respect, as you just said.
Yeah.
So we were able to stand back and say, look, what's actually going on? And we used the marketing mindset. So know your customer better than they know themselves. What keeps them up at night? What are his aspirations? What are his problems, his obstacles, his challenges? So we did this full customer profile, right? 2 pages on this guy, right? All these questions answered in depth. And we're able to see that he had a number of priorities which were slightly different to what was being verbalized and to what was being told to him by this guy, right?
Yeah.
And as a result, the guy that I was coaching just changed his angle somewhat. Projects that he changed? No. The way that he described it was quite different. Right. Significantly, we're now doing this. He was talking a lot about uniting the team for him, getting things on the ground. Safety was another key one that he had to really ratchet up the amount of times he mentioned safety.
Because this was
Not more than 2 months later, he was at a board meeting in London and presenting to the executive team, and the COO said, this guy's a real star. He's going places in our business. There's a lot more coming along.
Yeah, wow.
Now, that was never on the agenda prior. And all we did was change that one thing.
Just the delivery, the research, talking to your customer.
Just treating your boss as your number one customer.
That's very cool.
So it's a powerful, powerful paradigm, and one I think everyone needs to take. I really don't think you can be that successful unless you really start to think like that, because your boss is also, should be, delivering the company agenda.
Yeah.
So you should then be in perfect alignment with the vision and the strategy of the organisation. Now, every now and then you're going to get a boss, you go, I just can't do that.
Yeah.
And if it's a values issue, they're sacrificing values, then you need to have a good heart-to-heart with them and say, either get on track or I'm out.
Yeah, is this the right fit?
Right? Yeah. Or you can have, maybe you don't know how to communicate with them. Maybe they're a micromanager. Maybe they're the opposite. Macromanager, head in the clouds.
Yeah.
You've got to find a way to communicate with them, right, in a way that suits them.
Yeah.
And you might say, well, isn't it their job? They're the boss, shouldn't they?
Maybe communicate.
Bad luck. They're not. You're in charge of your life. You're in control of your outcomes. Ownership precedes victory is our statement. So take that ownership and you'll get there, right?
Yeah. I think that's you touched on something that really, really important is ownership of everything, and believing that almost taking to the fact that everything you do is a result of, or the outcomes you get is the result of things that you've done. And I think once you flick over to accepting that, that's where you can actually start seeing results.
Exactly, mate. We have a little maxim, which is ownership always precedes victory.
Right.
And you just don't get the wins unless you go, right, it's on me. What did I do? What happened there? You come out of a shitty meeting and you got owned, or someone didn't agree to do what you want to do, or something like that.
what did I do?
Don't blame them. Like, you know, you went in with a certain paradigm or a mindset. You had a certain amount of preparation. You know, if you if you want to hack meetings, right? What you do is you say to yourself, "What's the outcome I want? What do people to think, feel, and do when they leave that meeting?
Yeah.
What's the outcome I want? Right now, what's all the material I would need to have to get them from A to B? Where are they now? How am I going to present that? What are the likely objections, as you would say, the sales? Yeah. Okay, right, I've got that. Now, who are the key people in the room? Okay, got all that. Right, now, do a quick practice. Now, if you did that every morning, right?
Yeah.
Then every meeting you went into that day, you were the only person that knew the outcome, knew how it was going to go down, knew how you deal with certain objections and difficult people. If you did that into every meeting, every single day, you know how much more effective you would be than every other person in the organisation?
Yeah, incredible. Because
exactly,
if you see it going off in a way that doesn't correlate to your objective, you can go, hang a minute,
let's bring it back over here. But how many meetings do people go into and go, what are we here for again?
Yeah.
Hey guys, I think we're here to do... Let's go to another meeting after this. Hang on, we need a meeting to talk about what this meeting's about, right? And so you just get this meeting, you know... Circle of...
The common joke is that was a meeting that should have just been an email.
Yeah. Or just nothing, because I kind of hate emails.
Yeah.
You know, so just even little things like that mean you're taking ownership of the meeting.
Yeah.
So there's a guy, Jocko Willink, and Jocko talks about extreme ownership. Right. You've got to work out that extreme ownership is also just the quality of your performance every single day. How you turn up, how you walk around the office. Right. When your boss says, do you need resources? And you go, no, I can make this happen without them. Right. So, and they go, wow. You know, because every boss gets a business case across their desk every month with the most incredible offer about the turnaround in the business that they're going to make and the amount of money they're going to save. No one submits a business case that's not going to make the company millions.
No.
You know, so how are you going to stand out?
Exactly.
Right. Get the job done at minimum cost, bring your people with you and have a damn good time along the way, and your reputation will grow, right?
Definitely. As a problem solver.
Exactly.
As someone that can use what they've got around them.
Yeah.
And not asking for more budget.
You're more proud of yourself then too, right? Yeah. You've stumped up and done the job.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's really cool.
Yeah.
A big one is communication. When it comes to leadership, when you ask a crowd what is good leadership about, I guess 80% of the time people say communication, but a lot of people will say, you need to do that, but then the practical of it is just mismatched. So for you, how do you define good communication?
Well, I think I'll talk you through a delegation model as an example. Like, delegation is done poorly most of the time. Right? And I learned this the hard way. Years ago, I was a project manager. A good friend of mine was actually working as a business analyst, and on Friday afternoon I said to him, hey mate, I've got a project steering committee on Monday, and at the project board, what we need to talk about is this, and I need a report from you on how this particular part of the code and development is going.
Yeah.
I said, can you tell me on Monday? And he goes, yep, no worries. Spent the whole weekend working on it. There's a 20-page report on my desk, or on email, on Monday morning, and I went, well, oh my God, how long did you work on this? All weekend, mate. I was like, oh shit, man, I just needed a one-pager. He goes, you didn't say that. And I was like, oh man,
a list of things.
I'm a terrible bloke, right? I'm a terrible leader.
He didn't get to watch the footy.
No, he missed out on everything. Yeah. I was probably texting him to go out for a beer on Saturday night, and he probably said, no, you're good on your boss, you're out having drinks while I'm working for you. But look, the thing is, the very first part of good leadership and good delegation is to, first of all, define the context. Right, and I didn't do a very good job of that. And the context setting means, hey mate, we've got a steering committee meeting on Monday, and they're looking for some detail around this because they're worried about this particular part of the thing. It's not a massive worry, but just what it is. And we're going to need to report on it, so just a bit more detail.
Yeah.
Then you've got to define exactly what you want. I need a report, right? Then some quality, 1 page maximum.
Yeah.
Highlights only. Put in a graph, couple of numbers, that's it.
Yeah.
And look, mate, don't spend more than an hour on this, a bit of time. Don't spend any money on it, right? Send me a draft by this afternoon, 5 o'clock, some timelines, right?
Yeah.
Be really clear to people. Now, when people get to understand you better, you can be a bit more vague. But if you've got a piece of work that you need done to a certain level of quality, at a certain speed, with a certain amount of resources, be specific. Don't make them guess.
Yeah.
Right? If you can give them half the content, give them half the content. Help the person out.
Yeah.
Right, and so that's one example, right? Another example is when you're giving feedback, sometimes people just need to know what to do. And look, I think, so I'll give you an example. I was coaching an executive team here in Melbourne last year, and we were doing this, we did this process where we sit opposite each other and give feedback to each other directly.
Yeah.
So I get the COO and the head of merchandise sitting opposite each other, and one goes, the COO says to the head of merchandise, I need you to hold some of your people more accountable.
Right.
That's vague as hell. Right? It's okay. Now, what's going on? I look across, I can see the deer in the headlights going, I don't know how to do that. Even though general manager of merchandise, right? And so I listened to him and I said, what was the advice? And I said this, and I said, now, COO, tell him exactly how you would do it. He doesn't have to tell, he won't have to mirror it, like take it exactly, but tell him exactly what you would say, how you would say it, the phrasing down. And so he goes, oh, okay. And he tells him exactly what he would do. And the GM goes, that's what you need.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can do that. Right. Now, he was never going to, just that, give the example.
He's gone from confusion to clarity in a matter of minutes.
So when you find that people are stuffing up, giving you low quality work, aren't doing what you're asking for, help them out.
Yeah.
Generally, they don't know what to do. Either they don't have the skill to do it, which is the case of giving the feedback. They don't know how to go about putting together a report, where to get the information from. Maybe they've got a bad relationship with the person who's got the information they need. Yeah. They're going to need your help. Right? And so they're sitting here worrying and stressed. They don't know what to do. They do an average job. It gets where you work. It comes back to you a week later. You're in a one-to-one going, you need to lift your performance. Yeah. And they're going, come on, I don't know what to do. But on the outside, they're going, okay, thank you. Oh, thank you, boss. I'll have another week to do that. But on the inside, they're going, if only I knew what to do.
And that's such a better way, because I think the default that a lot of people can go to when they're not getting the quality of work sent to them is anger.
That's right. Yeah. And I want to make a distinction here between that and micromanagement. This isn't micromanagement. Yeah. Micromanagement is when you do a job and I'm looking over your shoulder saying, no, do this, dot that I, do this T, right? In an environment where you're an okay performer and there's nothing writing on it. Yeah. Micromanagement is only okay in a very high-risk project with a low performer leading it. Yeah. So I send you into a difficult environment that is absolutely crucifying you if I don't help you out. Yeah. If you're a low performer and you're new. Maybe you're a new member of the team and you have to win that big sale. Yeah. Right?
You need a bit of help.
It's okay to micromanage. But then I would tell someone, listen, on this one, I hope you don't mind, I'm going to micromanage the arse out of you. Yeah. It's only because I know this is high risk, you're new or you're not, haven't been going so well lately. Let me help you out. I'll walk you through the process. You'll probably be sick of me by the end, but we'll win. Yeah. Right. Get to the end, debrief, make sure they get their learnings, then step out, don't micromanage next time. Exactly. That's micromanagement, as opposed to helping someone do their job because you speak clearly, communicate well, give them the skill to do their job. They're two different things.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. But I think the person that is struggling would appreciate that if you are open and pre-frame it.
Exactly.
This is what I'm going to do. Yeah. Because then it's like, oh,
that's right.
I think if I'm putting myself in that scenario, a bit of stress would be taken off me because I know that's a big task.
Yeah. That's the context setting I was saying, right? Yeah. So the context is high risk activity, big sale, or danger, like a project that could kill the company or whatever it is, right? Yeah. Very high risk. You're new or you haven't been going so well lately. Yeah. Right. We got to win this. I'm with you. Let me come and do this with you. Or I'm going to put, Jane over here is going to come with you. And I've asked Jane to help you out in minute detail so we nail this. Yeah. Okay, don't feel bad about it. Well, we're going to get you there, right? And that's the thing. Like in that moment, if you're going to have to go down that path, right, then there's a great saying by Napoleon. He said, leaders are dealers in hope. Yeah. And that's what you are in that moment. Now, I don't think those moments come up very often, to be honest, but it's nice to have the situational awareness to know you can do that. Most of the time, you shouldn't be micromanaging. You should be giving good, clear instructions and getting out of the way and let people do their job. Yep. Empowering, But, if you've got a high performer on a low-risk job, just tell them to do it. Just let them go do it, right? Yeah. And then give them the support they need and keep pushing them to the next level of performance. But there are times when you can do that.
Yeah, definitely. You've also worked with sports teams. You've actually ran triathlons yourself, I believe.
More ultramarathons. I've done the
more ultramarathons. Yeah. So what have you learnt from those situations outside of business and then brought them back into it?
Yeah, I think I've learned a lot actually. I think for probably resilience and grit,
Yeah.
like to learn to love the hard stuff. I don't reckon I was a hard worker when I was younger.
Okay.
I reckon I was pretty lazy and happy to take the easy path.
Yeah. Is that coming out of uni or even?
Yeah, all the way through uni, you know, like I was president of the Beer Appreciation Society. And I travelled for years. I just put a backpack on and travelled the world for like 5 years, so it was excellent. Did not like working, right?
No.
But I think they taught me discipline and resilience, and I think that just the mindset to get up and do it. You know, I think when I wrote the book, we had my boys who were twins, and they were only 6 months old when I wrote the book.
Oh wow!
I started writing the book.
So you need a bunch of discipline to get through this.
A bunch of discipline. I wrote the book mostly between 5 a.m. and 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
I'd get up, and for months at a time, I just got up every morning, did that, and gritted the teeth. And I'm sure that the resilience to do that, or the energy to do that, came from trying to run across a bloody desert.
Yeah. I'm halfway in the desert, I can't stop.
That's right. I didn't think when I was out in the desert that would help me write a book, but I think the link is there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, actually, it's interesting that you bring up the getting up early thing.
Yeah.
A lot of people, there's books about that exact thing of an early morning routine.
Yeah.
Is that something you do now?
Yeah. So my routines they shift around a little bit depending on travel. And also the stage that our family's in. We try and customise our routine around that. Lately I go and do work for a couple of hours before, either in our home office or down the road at a cafe that opens at 5 o'clock. And I work until 7:30.
Yeah, wow. So you're up at 5?
Between 5 and 6. Just depends on the day.
Depends on the day.
Energy sometimes.
Yeah,
I don't beat myself up about it.
Yeah.
But I generally try and get 2 hours work in before I take the boys to school and daycare.
Great.
Right. So that works for us because my wife can get them out of bed, but then I take them to school.
Yeah.
And then I try and pick them up like around 5 o'clock, 5:30. But what that means is I work generally between 5:30, 6 a.m. through to around 5 p.m. But I have a couple of breaks in the day.
Yep.
And I don't work after that.
Yeah. Right.
So my nights are free. I don't work well afternoons. I don't work well at night. I need to free my mind. But by then I've worked 8 to 10 hours. Sometimes 11 hours. I'm like, that's enough for me in a day.
Yeah. And you're probably pretty good at this stage by prioritising tasks and...
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you have to be pretty good.
Yeah.
You have to be okay at it in my line of work. But I think the key is you have to know what fits for you at a particular point in your life. We're about to have another baby, and that's probably going to go out the window, that thing for me. So
for a little bit,
I'm going to have to go to a different routine for a while, and whatever that is will be right, but that will be dictated by the family. That's cool, right? That's just the way we'll play the game. So I think you just got to work out what's right for you.
Yeah.
Some people don't need sleep, and 4 o'clock is fine for them. Most of my life that's not for me. Like I generally get 7.5 hours sleep a night. So you're just not.
I really
look after yourself, right?
Yeah, I really like that because I'm in a routine at the moment where I'm getting up at 8 or even 9 o'clock because I've gone back to uni.
Sure.
So I'm a student again, but I can see it being a problem when I then go back into the workforce. Or
you'll adjust. You'll adjust. That doesn't matter. I mean, it's all right. Maybe you start later at the moment. That's cool because all your friends are up or you're in uni. That's cool.
Yeah. Right.
I think with routines, you just got to do what fits for you right now. And I also, what I've found as I've gotten a bit older actually is I go through patches where I've got loads of energy and other patches where I've got very little.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm like, okay, I just need to be kind to myself here. There's a huge movement around hustle.
Yeah. A hustle club.
And look, I'm all about being focused and, I teach high performance, but you can burn yourself out so quickly because you're bashing your head against the wall for speed, and the speed might not be the thing you need.
No.
Right. What you might need is just go a little bit slower, and a little bit smarter. There's a great saying, slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Yeah.
That's the Delta Core in America, right? And if you think like that at times, it might be the way forward, right? And so often we hustle like crazy, and the extra hour or two we do in that, it actually gets us nowhere. You got to ask yourself what you're doing it for, and be really careful, right? Because hustle for hustle's sake is a waste of energy.
Definitely, and then burnout. I mean, I think I was listening to one of your podcasts, and the guest you had on someone said they did about 800 press releases, and then, you know, but if only one of them got to a newspaper, those other 799 was just a waste of time.
Exactly, a waste of time.
But you're feeling all pumped and good because you hustled.
Yeah, you hustled, exactly. And you're like, well, but you got one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's so true. Like, you have to know what you're hustling for. So I think, you know, be kind to yourself in your routine. Listen to your body. Listen to what's going around you. Don't forget your values. Like, you know, for us, family's number one, particularly at the moment. So,
yeah, definitely.
You know, we've got to really focus on that.
Definitely. It would be amiss of me not to ask about your time with the Shaolin monks.
Cool. Yeah, that's right.
I read that on your website. There's definitely a line of conversation I need to get to here.
Yeah.
First of all, what drove you to go and live with the monks, and where was it?
So it was in Shandong Province, and there was a remote mountain area in Shandong Province, and there was an academy out there in the mountains, there's nothing else around, just a couple of farms and this high wall sort of. It wasn't
stereotypically.
No, it wasn't the pagoda type thing. Although there was there was a pagoda type and a Zen temple just up the hill, up the mountain that we used to go climbing. But it would look more like a communist sort of, you know, I don't know, training camp, you know. Yeah. But it was cool. I mean, it was pretty realistic. Like, all the teachers, all the staff, everyone was Shaolin Temple. They were proper kung fu monks. So cool. There was a few Westerners like me. There was a lot of Chinese athletes there, and we, it was. I went to study high performance, right? Okay. So the whole concept was, I've been studying with Grinder and some other people in neurolinguistics, and it was about modelling high performance. So go and see if you can learn off them as much as you can, copy, emulate, try and understand their patterns, their thinking, how they work, how they hold themselves physically, so you can copy as close as possible. And so that's what I went for. So for 3 months, I went off the grid and lived and trained, and it was 12 hours a day, dawn till dusk. Yeah. And we did, you know, everything from Qigong and Tai Chi to Chinese kickboxing and Kung Fu, meditation. We did acupuncture, morality classes. Yep. It was just epic, you know, like everything from sitting on top of a mountaintop, meditating with your bald head to, you know, bear crawling up staircases and then going down
physical
face first, and then I had a bout, a proper kung fu kickboxing bout, you know, against another, and that was crazy, like fully organised, and it was brutal.
What did you learn? Had you done any martial arts training prior?
I'd done about 3 months before I went, so it was.
I got to get a bit.
Nowhere near enough, right? But it was what I could do.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And what did you see a personality shift or a development shift? Or
I think I certainly felt very, very present while I was there, because there was nothing else to do. I think from a physical perspective, like I don't know if I've been so fit. So, you know, because you train that often, like, and I'd already done an ultra marathon before that. So I think I was coming from an okay base, but it was just
another level.
Like, holy cow, like the amount of training, you're just so ripped and you're so ready for anything. Yeah. And I could do the splits, and I could do a jumping spinning kick, and the guys I was training with are breaking bricks on their head, and like
this is like human potential.
It really was. Yeah. I mean, I watched one of the guys in my troop while I was there prepared to break a brick in his head. Yeah. And so for about 6 weeks while I was there, they shaved his head, and they started. He would get in sort of a split position and put his head on the ground, so feet and head. Yeah. And he would roll his head back and forth on the concrete to toughen up the skin and strengthen his neck.
Wow.
And then over time, he did lots of Qigong and meditation, and they would break brittle bricks and then more heavy bricks. And eventually, I was there the day that he did it in front of an audience of about 2,000 people. Jeez. And they smashed a brick in his head while he was in a meditative pose. He didn't move. It was just like... this brick just like it was a proper brick. Like it wasn't brittle. It was a proper house brick. Yeah. And it just shattered. He did not move, didn't blink. And I had lunch with him afterwards, and I said, mate, what was that like? He said to me, it was like cool water going down my neck.
Wow.
And I'm like, what planet were you on?
Yeah. Did we watch the same thing?
Yeah. It was just amazing. Just a really cool experience. It was cool. Yeah, really amazing. You certainly learn a few things. I'll sum it up that magic isn't real. Well, they've got this saying. Have you ever heard just the saying iron fists? Have you ever heard people say that? So that's an actual thing that they developed there, right? And so what you do is when you first go in, you start doing this punching drill and you punch into water, right? And you start to toughen up your skin, but icy water, right? Then the water goes to sand, right? And so the whole idea is, I think it's like 1,000 punches a day. Like, and then you go from water, then you go to sand, 1,000 punches a day until you've done 1,000,000, right? Then you do iron filings, right? So eventually, once you've done 1,000,000 punches into iron filings on both hands, your hands become iron fists. Yeah. And so this was an interesting thing for me, is I realised that in their internal belief system, they started to believe at that point that when they hit an iron filing a minute at a time, their fist was actually iron.
Yeah, wow.
Now, you can imagine for a second, hold your fist out and say to yourself that they are actually iron and metal. Right? Imagine if you had two, just like Terminator T2000, imagine if you had two of those.
Two of those. Just
look around the room and say to yourself, is there anything I couldn't punch?
Yeah, no.
Nothing. Right? And then add the calluses and the fact that your hands are incredibly strong. Right? And you're doing knuckle push-ups on broken concrete and like all sorts of stuff, and you're already punching bricks. Like, you imagine that, and then you imagine taking that into the ring.
Oh,
like
the confidence level.
Yeah, the confidence level is through the roof.
Yeah.
So magic, when you see someone like that punching through a brick, it's not magic.
No.
Right? It's not real. They're just super prepared beyond what you thought was possible.
Yeah.
So all the stuff that you see the Shallons do, from throwing a needle through a plate of glass to breaking bricks on head, all of it's real. None of it is fake.
Yeah.
Right? I can tell you that from experience. None of it is fake. But it's also not magic. They're just super prepared, better than anyone else, right? Two, it's not about the kung fu. It's just the output.
Yeah.
Right. It's the art. Yeah. It's the pursuit of mastery. And pursuit of mastery is mental. It's spiritual. It's strategic. It's tactical. It's physical. And if you leave out any of them, the whole system breaks down.
Yeah. It's like having 3 legs.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's the technical, tactical, physical, mental, social, plus the spiritual. And if you don't have those, your performance and your confidence plummets. Oh. So I take that into anything in business. So someone says to me, I've got a confidence issue, I go, you got technical skill. Is your mental game on? Right? You're here today, you've had too much fucking coffee.
Yeah.
Right? Do you know the tactics? Do you know the game plan? Right? Okay, you're physically set up to the day. Right? Are you socially okay? Emotional? Spiritual? Are we sorted? I will nearly always find the problem just by asking those questions.
Yeah, wow.
Because I don't actually know the skill. Oh, fine, let's get the skill. Because people often beat themselves up about confidence. Oh, imposter syndrome, I'm not confident.
Yeah, right.
No, it's me, and they'll talk to themselves and convince themselves there's something about them. And just about every single time I've coached someone, we've found the root cause within a minute of why they can't do what they're doing.
And
it's got nothing to do with them, and they just need to add some skill, a tactic, a process, something. They just don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Right? And so if you can teach them how to do that, right? And from an athlete perspective, sometimes they need strength. Right? That's different. Or experience. Okay? But once they've done it once and experienced it, it's there, it's done.
It's done, yeah.
But we for some reason, we beat ourselves up over this and convince ourselves that we're the problem.
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with you.
Nothing to do with you.
No.
It's one of these external factors.
Yeah. Well, it is you because you don't have something, but it's not.
But it's
you in general. It's you in this context because we generalise it, right? That's all me. You. It's not all you. It's you in this particular situation, and this at this point in time doesn't have something.
Yeah.
Right, and we'll just give you that one thing and you'll be sorted.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's actually a really, really cool spot to end it. I think that's
cool.
Because that's something that I think a lot of people need to take and actually sink in, and I don't want to distract it because that's really cool. But before I do, I've got two more questions.
Sure.
So for people that have listened and got something of value out of this, and you know, you yourself have got 107 podcasts as well.
Sure, yeah.
How do they reach out to you?
I think that's probably number one is through the Inner Chief podcast. It's free then. They can fill their boots as much as they want. I interview CEOs of normally pretty decent sized companies, and I do a mini-sode every week, which is just me. And so there's 100 episodes there. And the website, chiefmaker.com.au. And we're launching. If they want a copy of the book, just go there. They can get one for free. Plus, if they just pay the shipping, I'll send them one.
Yep, we've done it myself.
Yeah, cool. Yep. And chiefmakeracademy.com goes live in the next week. So.
Yeah, well, that was going to be the other question is, what's next for you? And
well, that's the big thing for us is from the very beginning, I really felt that executive coaching is beyond most people financially.
Mm-hmm.
So I've taken all the best executive coaching in the world, put it online at a fraction of the price, and we're launching that in another week or two. So
fantastic.
That's we're really having a crack at just trying to scale everything we do in a way people can do it at their own pace in their own time because they're busy people.
Yeah.
As I said, pay far less than you normally would.
Yeah.
Knock it out of the park. Take some ownership,
Yeah. Go and prove it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I've been Tim, you've been Greg, and we've been talking.
Cool. Thanks, mate. Cheers. Thanks for having me. Cheers.
Yeah. Cool.
No worries, man. That was good.
Yeah.